Hi everyone, my name is Steph Marie and I'm the founder of the Butterfly Princess show, where I do a range of interviews and things about disability related issues, health, but it's not only disability related issues. I also talk about history, art, books, anything and anything that of interest. You will find be something on the Butterfly Princess show that I hope will appeal to everyone and anybody. You can find that out on Facebook and Instagram. And I'm very lucky to be joined by two project workers from Healthwatch Bury. Now, I do work with Healthwatch Bury as I'm a volunteer. You've probably seen me co-hosting the Healthwatch live sessions, where we have a range of different services within Bury, talking about the services they offer. And my role within that Facebook live sessions is to host the Q&A sessions that people and answer people's questions which we may have wrote into, or we've thought of ourselves to ask the guest. So today I'm joined by Bev and Laura, who are project workers, and they're going to talk about what Healthwatch Bury is, but more importantly, their latest project, which is GP access for people with visual impairments, hearing impairments, and physical disabilities. So I'm going to pass you on now to Laura and Bev, who will tell you a bit about Healthwatch. So hi ladies, thank you for joining me today. So firstly of all, could you tell me about what your role is within Healthwatch and a bit about Healthwatch Bury as a whole? Because I know Healthwatch is sort of a national thing, but each Healthwatch within local areas do their own projects and have their own teams. So could you tell us a bit about that?
Do you want to go first, Laura, or shall I?
Well, if you want to talk about what Healthwatch is all about, first of all, and then we can discuss our various roles in Healthwatch Bury.
Of course. So Healthwatch Bury is a part of a national network, as you've already covered, Steph. We're a local health watch established under the Health and Social Care Act 2012. Healthwatch Bury is an independent non-profit organisation, so we're a CIC. We're governed by a board of directors who are all volunteers. A full list of our board members is available on our website if you'd like to know more about the board. We're funded by the Department of Health and Social Care, and we're commissioned by Bury Council, but the money's not ring fenced. So as you said, we're part of a big national organisation, but we do have local Healthwatch, and we're Healthwatch Bury. I myself am an engagement officer. My name's Beverly Santana Vega, and I worked for Healthwatch just over 6 months now. And my role is to engage with the community, gather information about important issues to do with health and social care from the community, and also to manage projects that Healthwatch are running, and make sure that they go smoothly. Laura, over to you.
So I'm Laura Balance and I'm a project officer at Healthwatch. I took on my role August this last year, and my main role as a project officer is really to gather the information from the public, the general public. So I do the interviewing, the focus groups, questionnaires. I do a lot of research, again, into the background of the projects that we look at so that we have a baseline to begin with. So at the start of this project that we're going to be talking about, I did a lot of the research into, for example, sensory issues and accessing your GP, or what it's like for wheelchair users in general, just so we can get a feel and an understanding of our clients and of what the general public might be experiencing. And then I then go into the communities, different communities in Bury, and try and get the views of the people in Bury. And we're trying to get as wide a number of views as possible, because we have many different communities in Bury, and it's important to hear the voice of all those different communities and reach all the very many different groups. So we undertake engagements and we reach out to individuals and organisations and encourage them to come forward so that we can really hear the voices of the people in Bury.
Yeah. And just to reiterate that, you know, we are the voice of the local community, and the project that we are currently working on arose from some concerns raised to us at Healthwatch in regards to accessing your GP services in and around Bury. Especially for people who have sensory loss, hearing loss, sight loss, and a physical disability. You know, the GP surgeries, they have, you know, many challenges, particularly since COVID, and you know, they all are very busy and very willing to help us. But some concerns were raised by the general public at some difficulties and some obstacles when they, you know, in regards to their physical disability or their sensory loss. And this was reiterated by some of our very own board members, and which is where this recent project has arose from. We thought it best to do some further investigating and see if we at Healthwatch can make some recommendations to improve the overall patient journey. So the current project we're working on is GP access with sensory loss and physical disability.
So so obviously within my role as Healthwatch, and obviously me having a physical disability myself, I have cerebral palsy and I'm a wheelchair user, and obviously I'm involved with the project. Obviously Laura interviewed me earlier this week to gain my experiences of, you know, GP surgeries, and we talked a lot about smear tests, and it was quite refreshing to read the article that Laura sent me from the Jones Cervical Cancer Trust about disabled women accessing smear tests, and one of the things was that this genuine assumption that women or people with cervix with a physical disability don't need to have a cervical smear because they presume they're asexual or they're not sexually active, and this isn't the case for the majority of people with disabilities. So whatever saying that's just one example. So we're saying, like, what are the main aims and objectives of this project? Obviously, we've talked about, you know, doing a video of like going into GP surgeries, interviewing GPs and having people talking about personal experiences with physical disabilities, hearing loss.
Yeah. So you've covered, you know, quite a lot of things, but our main objective from this project is to gather the information and work with the GP surgeries to report any findings that we have. So we want to produce a final report which will highlight areas for improvement in terms of accessing the GP surgeries. I think we've very quickly discovered that we have an opportunity here to explore other avenues, and other things are coming up as Laura's doing her in-depth interview, and as we are gathering the patient surveys, that there are some areas that also need highlighting in terms of pharmacies, you know, vaccination clinics, and as you've just touched on, Steph, the sexual health clinics as well, which run from GP surgeries. So although our main objective is to discuss and highlight GP access for those with sensory loss and physical disability, we have had a great opportunity here to uncover a few other areas that we're keen to highlight. Laura, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, when you mentioned, Steph, about when we ended up talking about smear testing, that's the kind of information that GPs wouldn't know about. They don't have the opportunity to speak in depth to their patients. They're really busy. They've got maybe 15 minutes to spend with a patient, so they don't get that kind of feedback that we can provide, which is genuinely helpful to the healthcare providers who are looking to give their patients the best possible experience. And so I'm hoping that we'll actually be able to be helpful and be able to move things forward, not only for the GPs, obviously for the patients and users of the service as well. But I think I can't remember who was saying this to me the other day, that patients are experts in their own lives. And I think they're the people that we need to hear from. So I think that's hopefully where this project will contribute, is giving us the information that we don't expect to get. And that's, to me, is when we get the real wins, is that kind of interesting information that wouldn't normally come out.
So primarily, Steph, to answer your question, it will be to produce a report of our findings. But I think we also want to raise awareness of the fantastic services that are available to people with sensory loss and disability across Bury. And there's a lot of organisations that have stepped forward and wanted to be a part of this project. So we would like to create a patient directory so that people have access to services when they require them. We would like to also help the GP staff if they want the help. They're so willing to help patients, and they've been so supportive with this project so far. I think if it's a case of awareness, we're quite happy at Healthwatch Bury to assist raise awareness if that's an area that's highlighted. So yeah, there's a few good things could come from this project. Yeah.
So obviously, because obviously I'm really excited to get involved, with the training video and the interviewing. And so, we talked about, when we met, we talked about you've worked with other organisations, sort of other disability organisations. What other organisations have you worked with in order to get a feel of members of the focus groups, because they come from all different walks of life, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the focus groups so far have been with the Blind Society. They have various groups that attend, like the glaucoma group. So they do have different groups. So we've been to visit those groups. At the Hearing Hub, which formerly Communicate Bury, we've spoken to BSL users. I'm actually going to be going in a couple of weeks to speak to members of their craft group, which are another group that they have there. Hard of hearing groups as well. So we're going to try and reach out across different groups. I think through some of the groups that Bev has put together, through groups that Bev has invited to speak with us, that she can talk to about the project, we're hoping to get even more groups involved as well. I don't know if Bev, you want to talk a bit more about the groups you've invited.
Yeah, so we decided to set up an online focus group or a briefing forum, and we've invited a substantial amount of people. So staff across GP surgeries, we've invited counsellors of Bury, we've invited NHS staff and Pennine Care staff, members of the public, and some of those organisations that Laura was just talking about, plus many, many more. So we did a round of them in October, which went incredibly well, and we got lots of invites to engage with those groups. We did one yesterday. We have another one tomorrow and another one next Wednesday, the 1st of February. So we're hoping that from these meetings, we're going to get quite a lot of invites into these groups and connect and make relationships with the groups of Bury.
So obviously with you saying that Healthwatch is a CIC, so what a CIC is, could we just explain to people what a CIC is for viewers who may not be aware of what a CIC means?
Yeah, So a CIC is a social enterprise non-profit. It's running a similar way as a business, but as I said, it's a non-profit, and it's a business that is set up really to benefit the community, and it's the community really that have a say and also can contribute to how the business is run. I hope that answers your question. Would you like to add to that, Laura?
Well, I can talk a little bit about the funding and how we fund the projects, just to help people understand the fact that we are a non-profit, so we have to seek funding. We're not a profit-making organisation, so we're part of a national network of local health watchers that were established under the Health and Social Care Act in 2012. And as Bev has already said, we are funded by the Department of Health and Social Care and commissioned by Bury Council, but the money isn't ring fence. So we have to take into account the projects that we're going to be doing and think about whether we can get funding for those projects. So very often those projects need to be funded by other organisations that might feel that that project is worthwhile to do. So our annual report, though, is available on our website if you want to look at how we are funded, how we raise our funds, and the kind of projects that are funded.
Thank you. And so will that as well go into like the funding process? Because I'm presuming you have to have a lot of paperwork to fill in. You got like for stuff like that.
Yeah, we definitely have to meet the priorities of the funder, and we have to prove to them that we can do the job that we say that we're going to do and what resources we're going to allocate. So there is a lot of paperwork involved, and Adam, who's our Chief Operating Officer, is very much involved in that process. And it does take up a lot of time getting funding, but sometimes it can help you clarify the project. And by having to sort of demonstrate the usefulness of a project, I think that's not a bad thing. And being accountable for what we do is important because we are here for the general public.
And is there anyone else within Healthwatch Bury who's like involved directly in the project? Because you mentioned, was it somebody called David?
Yeah, we have another member of the team, David Britton, and David's priorities are to link in with the GP practices. David's from a background with the fire brigade, and he inspects buildings in terms of quality and safety, and that includes as well the disability awareness side. So David's priorities in the project have been to go into the GP surgeries and conduct audits of the physical space in terms of their accessibility and the requirements that may be needed for somebody who was deaf and blind, for example, in terms of their safety once they attend the GP surgeries. There's also linking in with GP practice managers and their staff and receptionists and doctors to talk about their awareness of disabilities and sensory loss, hearing loss, and to just raise a general awareness and just discuss with them how comfortable they are when somebody with physical disability attends the surgery, and how confident they are with making sure that that patient has a very good experience.
Thank you. And one last question before we finish. So obviously, I'm hoping that there'll be a lot of people with physical disabilities and visual impairment and sensory impairment watching this, along with their carers or family members. So how can people get involved with the interview, with the project? Because you mentioned the survey and the in-depth interviews.
Right, yes, so that's a good question, Steph. So what people can do is they can, first of all, they can log on to our website, which is www.healthwatchbury.co.uk. And they can find out a lot about the project and Healthwatch altogether. They can also email us at info@healthwatchbury.co.uk. They can also phone us, find the phone contact details. I might have to pass those on to you at some point. If you've got the phone contact details.
I've got the number here, I can give that out. It's 0161 253 6300, and the link to the patient survey is on our website, and it's also on our Facebook page and LinkedIn page as well.
Brilliant, thanks. I'm glad we managed to get that.
That's okay.
But we really would like anybody who's watching your video, Steph, to come forward and give us their point of view. Everybody's got something to offer, and everybody's got, you know, a slightly different story. No two stories are the same. Everyone's unique. So, you know, the more the merrier. We can fit as many people in as possible. That would be really helpful, because everybody will have their own way of looking at things and their own difficulties. But also, and I think you've already stated this, Bev, you know, it's about also what's good, what the good practices that you've seen. We're also really keen to hear, you know, how great your GP or your practice manager might be at your surgery, because we can learn from good practice as well. And I think we ought to celebrate good practice too in Bury.
Absolutely. I think just to add to that, I think it's very important that people have a voice. You know, I think sometimes one of the common things that we're coming across when interview is that people just want to be heard and have their needs met, their individual needs met. So this is a great opportunity to share your experiences, your individual experiences, as Laura's just said. And this information will get back to the GP practices, and it will get back to the staff who are all ready and very keen to do a good job. And they've all been very you know, willing and supportive of the project, and they're willing to learn. You know, we can all make improvements, and if it helps somebody feel validated and have a good patient, you know, journey in their GP surgery, they have been all for that. So yes, have your say, fill out our survey and get in touch.
Thank you for your time this afternoon to both Laura and Bev, and I really hope that, you know, people will come forward to take part, because it's a vital project, I think. And like so like, if anyone does want to get involved, please get in touch and with the way stated in the interview. And you've been watching an episode of the Butterfly Princess Show. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a lovely rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steph.
Bye, Steph.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording.